Nothing like waking up early to talk about another bad Robin Williams movie. Except this one's better than some of the other ones we've talked about. This one's way better than stuff like Old Dogs and Jack, so at least it has that going for it.
KidNet Television proudly presents America's favorite kid show host, Rainbow Randolph!
So you'll make sure my boy dances up front, right? Gets to sit in the chair?
You want your little booger eater on my show?
Meet Randolph Smiley. He once was rich. He once was famous. And he once was sane.
Rainbow Randolph is the man. Yes, oh yes, he is.
They kicked me out of the corporate penthouse. I'm homeless.
Death to Smoochy tells the story of Rainbow Randolph, the corrupt costume star of a popular children's TV show who was fired over a bribery scandal and replaced by squeaky clean Smoochy, a puffy fuchsia rhinoceros. As Smoochy catapults to fame, scoring hit ratings and the affections of a network executive, Randolph makes the unsuspecting rhino the target of numerous outrageous attempts to exact revenge and reclaim his status as America's sweetheart. So from the little research that I did on this movie, this was written by a guy who used to write for Letterman and The Larry Sanders Show, Adam Resnick, and I also found out that he apparently went on to write, and I think he directed the originally it was a flop, but it went on to be some kind of cult classic, sort of like this did. It was this movie starring Chris Elliott called Cabin Boy.
These pipes are clean!
So apparently he also did this one too, or at least he wrote it. This was directed by Danny DeVito, who also has a role in the film. And it has Robin Williams, Edward Norton, and Catherine Keener. Apparently when it came out, critics hated it, and it did so poorly in the US, I think all around the world they released it straight to video because they were that embarrassed of it. It's kind of sad because, I mean, the movie's not great or anything, but like I said in the intro, it's far from the worst Robin Williams movie I've seen. Shit, I don't even think this was the worst movie of 2002. I mean, considering that was the year that the Rollerball remake came out and Adventures of Pluto Nash came out, at least this movie wasn't a shitty remake, nor was it a terrible big-budget comedy with Eddie Murphy mugging and not being funny. I don't know, I have very complicated feelings on this movie. I remember I saw it when I was a lot younger, and I remember thinking, oh, well, it has Robin Williams in it, so it must be good. But then I went through a phase where it's like, oh, well, people said that it sucked, so I guess I have to not like it now. But looking at it now with a fresh pair of eyes, it's not very good, but I can also see why some people rally behind it now. Because, I mean, it is original, it is a good concept for a movie, it's just the execution, Let's actually talk about what the movie's about. So the movie has Robin Williams playing a kid show host by the name of Rainbow Randolph. And, you know, on the surface, it's your typical kid show. It's over-merchandised. There's like a shit ton of toys. They plug in the commercials during the show saying, oh, buy all of our products on our website. It's just $9.99.
Our Rainbow Randolph products. They're there online for you at rainbowrandolph.com. Log on. It's not free.
But while everything seems perfect in paradise, it turns out there's a dark underbelly going on, and he gets busted for a bribery charge from what seemed like parents asking to have their kid on his show, and they're offering a large sum of money, but it turns out to be a sting, and he ends up getting busted.
Never touch the money. FBI, you're under arrest.
Rainbow fucking Randolph. Kids love me.
But then KidNet, the fictional company they made up to be in charge of these programs, they're now in desperate need of a replacement. So they get one of their top guys, Frank, played by Jon Stewart from The Daily Show.
A bottle of pancake syrup with legs.
Frank.
Get me Smoochy.
Apparently they originally wanted Hank Azaria for that role. And honestly, I could definitely see him working a little bit better because Jon Stewart, especially in this movie, I've seen it in other movies, but this one in particular, it just seems like he's reading lines off a script. It just doesn't feel natural. Don't get me wrong, like a lot of other people, I really liked Jon Stewart's run on The Daily Show, but, you know, there's a difference between somebody being a good comedian and being a good actor in a film, and I think Jon Stewart would be the first one to tell you that he didn't really have a very good acting career. I mean, considering this, Big Daddy, Dougal, yeah, he just has plenty of movies he can fall back on to make fun of, to do self-deprecating humor.
Tonight is the night we celebrate excellence in film with me,
the fourth male lead from Death to Smoochy.
Frank and another higher up, Nora, played by Catherine Keener, they're now struggling to find a new replacement, but they end up falling back on this one that apparently has been in the Rolodex of names for years, but they finally decide to take a chance on it. And the reason they didn't go with it before is because it's this creation from this guy named Sheldon, and the character in question is Smoochy the Rhino, which is a very thinly veiled Barney pastiche.
I like it.
The reason they didn't go with him before is because the guy is kind of a hippie. And he's one of these guys where you see him trying to workshop the Smoochy character at a drug rehab clinic.
We'll get you off that smackle, yes we will. Oh, we'll get you off that smackle, yes we will.
And he does things like he's constantly pushing for kids to eat more organically. There's a song at one point in the movie where they're talking about eating organic health food cookies instead of stuff that has processed sugar and addictive substances.
You wouldn't believe what it took to get these guys to throw on a couple soy dogs. Hello, people, wake up and smell the future.
So I guess some people would say he was the original soy boy. So he seems like a good-natured, albeit kind of weird hippie of a guy. Well-intentioned. He's trying to help people get off drugs, and he's trying to get people to, partake in healthier eating, stuff like that. But it's not the kind of thing you put on television, especially for children. But they're so desperate to get rid of Rainbow Randolph, they decide to go with this guy, and they franchise it out. And that's sort of where the comedy comes in, where Smoochy just takes the world by storm, kind of like Barney the dinosaur, I guess, did.
The Smoochy doll and the Rhinette dolls would be sold separately, of course. Again, these are just prototypes, but I've been assured by Funtone that all the bugs will be worked out before Christmas.
Sheldon is very much against this, and he is constantly pushing and butting heads with the studio, saying that he doesn't want to be a commercialized sellout. It goes against his principles.
Smoochy is still trying to earn the trust of these kids. I don't think we're going to do that by selling them string cheese and shampoo and Smoochy Cola, which contains no less than 2 addictive substances.
And this is like 20, 30 minutes into the movie, and I was starting to realize, despite the marketing pushing Robin Williams as the main character, he really kind of isn't. I mean, is he important to the story? Yes, but it really is Edward Norton's movie at the end of the day. I mean, you see the trailer, and you would think that the main movie is just Robin Williams trying to screw over this guy and get his position for his show back. And while that is in the movie, there are just a million other characters and a million other subplots going on that it kind of takes away from that. I said the same thing when I talked about Burt Wonderstone. The marketing for that movie made it seem like it was going to be old school Vegas magician versus Chris Angel style street magician. And it was Steve Carell versus Jim Carrey. But really, Jim Carrey wasn't in the movie for all that much, and the movie really wasn't built on that kind of rivalry. Yes, it's in the movie, but it's not as prevalent as the marketing made it seem. And this movie is kind of the same way. I mean, Robin Williams appears in this movie more than Jim Carrey does in Burt Wonderstone, but it's still just a little bit jarring. It feels like Robin Williams doesn't really have that much to do. Because while all this stuff of Robin Williams trying to sabotage Edward Norton is going on, you then have all this stuff that legitimately feels like something out of like an actual crime noir thriller, but the premise is just so wacky, and I guess that's where the comedy is supposed to come from. Because you got this charity organization that's basically a mafia, and they're trying to do a shakedown on Edward Norton. They're trying to force him to do an ice skating show, like Smoochy on Ice, and they're like, oh, it's not going to be free. It's going to be full of charge. The money's going to go to the vendors, and most of the money's going to go to us.
Starting tomorrow, Smoochy the Rhino raises his baton for Parade of Hope. Banquets, benefits, I want it all.
And again, just like Robin Williams, he comes and goes when the story is convenient. There's a part near like the beginning of the third act. This is like 40 minutes before the movie ends, and they just kill his character off.
I was just trying to help the children.
Oh, you like kids, huh?
Oh, yes, of course.
Oh, I bet you know some fairy tales then. Hey, Danny, tell him the one about the worthless prick that gets his head chopped off with an axe.
Which made me really wonder, it's like, okay, well shit, what was the point of that character then? It's a Danny DeVito movie, so Danny DeVito finds a way to put himself in there. And of course, it's Danny DeVito. Danny DeVito is charismatic. Even when he's in bad movies, he does a pretty good performance. And he does a good job here as the slimeball agent of Edward Norton. And he is the one that sort of tries to push him in the direction of like, yeah, kid, this is a dangerous game. Like, as soon as his show starts doing well, he takes him out to dinner and he gives him a gun and says like he's going to need it in this industry.
It's your little graduation present. Think of it as a tool of the trade.
Burke, I can't accept this.
No?
And I guess you could say that that was sort of that old Hitchcock rule: when you show the gun in the first act, it's going to come back later. And naturally it does. Robin Williams just comes and goes. And I mean, I'll give him this. The scenes where he is trying to screw over Edward Norton are genuinely funny. There's a scene where he leaves a threatening phone call, and that actually legitimately got a laugh out of me.
You better grow eyes in the back of your fucking head, you horn piece of shit, because I'm not gonna sleep until worms are crawling up your foam rubber ass. I'm going on safari, motherfucker. Safari.
There's a scene where he swaps out these cookies that they're going to have on the show with cookies that are shaped like penises. And Edward Norton somehow finds a way to work it back around and save it and have it be squeaky clean by saying, oh, no, they're just rocket ships.
It's a rocket ship! It's a rocket ship to fly us to Jungle!
Robin Williams runs out and starts swearing a bunch in front of children, which is, again, one of the best parts of the movie. It is legitimately funny.
The cock and balls! The dick! Chorizo and the huevos! It's a big stiffy! Yeah! It's a penis!
There's one scene where Robin Williams sets him up, and Robin Williams gets to do a bunch of different voices. So, you know, it's Robin Williams doing what he does best. And he kind of flip-flops between his voices. He goes from, like, Australian to Scottish.
I thought Rainbow Randolph was pretty talented.
Oh, come on, he's a miserable cocksucker fucking asshole! You hate him, admit it!
Where did you say you were from exactly, Mr. McConkle?
Because he's like, oh yeah, we're having this big fundraiser event. Oh yeah, you should come. You can be our guest of honor. And then he gets there and it turns out to be a neo-Nazi rally. But he ends up getting his name cleared because, as they established earlier, there's this club that they go to that's run by these Irish mobsters. And the Irish mobsters end up shaking down Robin Williams until he confesses that he was responsible for the setup. So then Smoochy ends up getting his job back, and everybody welcomes Smoochy back with open arms. It is interesting to see this movie from 2002 tackle something that would basically just become a mainstay in our culture, which is the fascination with imploding celebrities.
Get away from me! Don't touch me! Please! Very nice! I've been shot! I'm bleeding! Salmonella!
All the things that Robin Williams does is so common these days, of people trying to screw over content creators, whether they're actors, musicians, YouTubers, whatever. You know, the blatant attempts. Like, because I think last year, wasn't there some kid show entertainer person on like YouTube that was accused of being like an anti-Semite or whatever? So it really was reminding me of that. It's like, shit, this was just the beginning of it. Going back to the Irish mobsters, because that's just one of the many subplots that goes on in this thing. They have a son who's a former boxer, and apparently he now suffers brain damage. And he's played by a guy from The Sopranos. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I recognize that guy.
I miss Smooch. He never could have done the things they say he done. He ain't no Nazi.
He, at this point, has the mind of a child, and he loves Smoochy very much. So eventually they decide to give him a role on the show, and at first he's like a member of like the kid show band. But then he ends up getting upgraded to being Smoochy's cousin. And so then when Harvey Fierstein sends mobsters to try and whack Smoochy, they end up killing him by accident. In the third act, once Harvey Fierstein is killed by the Irish mobsters, it basically just comes down to Danny DeVito and Jon Stewart, and they're planning to assassinate Smoochy because, again, Smoochy is just going against their whole way of life, and oh, he wants the ice show to be non-profit, and any kind of profit that's made off of the event is going to go to rebuild this meth clinic that he used to work at. He's doing it for all the right reasons. Meanwhile, these guys are just a bunch of greedy fucks.
You'd be my partner, split down the middle, even the ice shows. We got a chance here to get back on track. We gotta get rid of the Rhino.
And then this is when all the stuff with Robin Williams finally starts to wrap up. Robin Williams, there's a part where he tries to set himself on fire in Times Square and just give up. But a little girl walks up to him and reminds him why he started doing all this in the first place, which was for the kids.
You won't see another Rainbow Randolph in this lifetime. This is for you, Smoochy! You did this to me!
What you doing, Rainbow Randolph? It's okay.
But then I guess Robin Williams and Catherine Keener's characters had a thing together. At one point, they say that she was something of a kids show groupie, and she went out with basically every popular host they had.
You and him?
No, yeah.
Well, how do you like that?
Why don't you tell him about Jingle Jackson?
You dated Jingle Jackson, too?
She used to like to play with his bells. What about Wally the Whale?
Laura, how could you do it with Wally the Whale?
There she blows.
Which, again, that was one of the few things I laughed at. Just the idea of that was funny. But he gets pissed off. It's like, he took my show, he took my job, now he took my girl. So Robin Williams goes to try and kill Edward Norton, but he ends up breaking down, and he just kind of gives up on trying to kill him, and they're all officially on the same page.
You are still Rainbow Randolph. That's worth something. You've made a lot of children happy.
You be my friend.
Yeah, sure.
That whole part of it felt rushed. And this is what I'm saying. I feel like if the movie focused primarily on Robin Williams trying to screw over Edward Norton, take out all this, mafia stuff, I feel like the movie would have been a little bit more easy to follow. It would have felt less like, a million things are going on at once. I mean, you could still do the commentary of, the bureaucracy and the over-commercialization of kid shows. You can definitely do that. But, yeah, it really feels like Robin Williams just comes and goes for large chunks of the movie. And then when they finally are all on the same page, it's like, oh, that was surprisingly easy. What Danny DeVito and Jon Stewart are going to do is they pay some junky former TV show host of theirs to assassinate Smoochy while at the Smoochy on Ice show. And it almost happens, but Robin Williams manages to save him before he can get hit by a bullet. And then the bad guys scramble. Danny DeVito ends up getting cornered by Catherine Keener and Edward Norton. Edward Norton is about to snap and just blow him away with the gun that he gave him.
How could you set me up like that? It was the circumstances. Circumstances? You killed Sprinter Burke! It was a tragic mistake.
But before he can do that, the Irish mobsters come in and say that they'll deal with him and that, you shouldn't have to sell out your principles. You shouldn't stoop yourself to the level of others.
Don't destroy who you are for this piece of shit. Give me the gun, Shell.
Oh my God, what am I doing?
Ultimately, the movie ends with everything going fine. Edward Norton and Catherine Keener kiss. And they decide to rebrand the show, so now Robin Williams and Edward Norton can work together.
Side by side, shoulder to shoulder, friends forever. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please welcome Smoochy the Rhino and Rainbow Randolph.
Overall, I like a lot of concepts in this movie. I think that there's a lot of style. I mean, it's a Danny DeVito directed movie. A lot of Danny DeVito's movies, even if you didn't like them, they certainly had a style to them. I mean, it's a little less stylized than some of his other movies compared to Throw Mama from the Train and stuff like that. But there are the occasional angles, like the Dutch angles or the close-up shots where it's like, yep, that is definitely a Danny DeVito movie right there.
Gentlemen, may I express that I am as shocked and outraged by this as you all must be.
I don't have time for eventually, Frank. Eventually we all grow old and die.
No one has ever refused an ice show. No one.
Until now. Smoochy doesn't sell out. That's it.
The Rhino's out of control, Merv.
If you're trying to aggravate me, you're doing a hell of a job.
I'm not here to aggravate, just educate.
Your pal Stokes is the one who's going to get an education.
I think everyone did a decent performance. I mean, even when I said that Jon Stewart's acting wasn't all that great, he does fine in the role. I think Hank Azaria would have been better, but He does fine. Everyone in the movie is giving a good performance. Apparently, critics really hated Robin Williams trying to play evil, but there were 2 other movies that came out that same year where Robin Williams played a bad guy in it, and those did really well. So it's like, I think Robin Williams was capable of doing it. It's just that in this movie, he definitely mugs a lot, but most of the laughs that I got in this movie came from Robin Williams, so it's like I can't even be mad at his mugging.
Can you spare 60 seconds for a smiley old face from your past?
I think the biggest problem is the movie just didn't have that much focus to it. I wish that it focused a little bit more on Robin Williams, versus having him just constantly pop in and out of the story when it's convenient. Take out the millions of subplots and characters that are just constantly coming and going all throughout this thing. And I saw some people complain that the tone was a little too dark for them. I've seen in recent years people say that's what they like about the movie, is that it's dark. If I were to compare it to a movie I reviewed, it's kind of like Monkey Bone in terms of the tone, where it's like it wants to be like this dark comedy. This is probably the only time I'll ever say this. Monkey Bone was more tonally consistent than this was. This movie feels like it wanted to be a dark comedy, like a Throw Mama from the Train, except that was more tonally consistent. If you want to use an example of a movie that came out years after this one, you look at Horrible Bosses. That's a dark comedy, and the premise is very dark, about 3 guys that are trying to kill their bosses because they think their bosses are bad people. But that movie works because despite the premise being very dark, it was an out-and-out comedy. And I feel like that's sort of what this movie was trying to do, but it feels like a reversal where the premise is very silly, but the movie itself is just a very bleak, dark movie where there's fucking murder all throughout, and it feels like despite a couple of jokes happening here and there, it feels like a straightforward crime thriller. So it feels like for a dark comedy, it leans a lot more on the dark and less of the comedy. I mean, the stuff that's funny in the movie is funny, but it feels just a little too bleak even for a movie of this type. Is that to say it's a complete waste of time? Not really. I mean, if you like Robin Williams, there is lots of good Robin Williams stuff here. He does a decent job playing a bad guy for most of the movie. I did like that. Like I said, the performances are good. The production is pretty good. This was like Danny DeVito's second to last movie. I think he did one more after this. It was that Duplex movie with Ben Stiller and Drew Barrymore, which was painfully mediocre. This was a lot better than that, because at least this one had a more interesting premise and it had a little more style to it. And if I were to compare it to Burt Wonderstone, I feel like this one had more style than Burt Wonderstone. Burt Wonderstone was more tonally consistent. That was an out-and-out comedy, but it was just a very bland, mediocre, middle-of-the-road comedy. Versus this where, I mean, Robin Williams was funny in it. So I can definitely say that. Almost all my laughs came from him. And it is a better Robin Williams movie than some of the other shit we've looked at on this show. Like, it's better than Jack, and it's better than Old Dogs, that's for sure. But as for what we're looking at next time on Blockbusters Show, we're going to be talking about the 2015 remake of the alleged worst movie ever made, Plan 9 from Outer Space. But until then, I'm Adam Sykes of the Blockbuster Show, and we will see you guys in the next video.
Bastard son of Barney! Die, you stuffed son of flump! You illegitimate Teletubby! Die, you muppet from hell!